in live hour of empower. So blessed and privileged today to have Bev with us again. And Bev, usually it's every Tuesday. And today's word of the day is support. I know that has impact on everybody and everything. And chat's open. Again, we depend on you to direct us, make us more relevant, hopefully generate some valuable takeaways. So before the comments start flying in, why don't you take it away, Bev? Give your initial reaction to support and anything that's really kind of wants to bring everybody up to date.
Well, absolutely, because the comments are coming in, and the first person to support us, and I want to acknowledge you right there in the comments, is Ramandip Ray. Thank you for joining us, and you just popped in at 11 to support us. And now Carrie's here, and that's awesome too. And oh, he's got, guess what? A joke. I don't know where you get this, Carrie. It's hysterical. But it doesn't matter. Anything you make us laugh, it's supportive. Okay. We need everybody here to make a community. And
Mhm.
what Donald has done is he's built an amazing community. He really has. It's everybody here, and everybody supports everybody. And here's a LinkedIn user. I don't know who you are, but you know who you are. Hi. And everyone's supporting us. So the question really is, do you go out and get support? Who has really supported you? Everybody needs support. Everybody, each and every one of us needs support. And we can get it in so many ways. We can speak to people, we can pay to speak to people, we can go to family, we can go to friends. In the workplace, there's should be always someone to go to if you need help. We all need each other, and we all shouldn't be embarrassed to get,
Mhm.
because I think that the biggest thing for all of us is to think that we're the only ones there with our own problems. And when we keep thinking about our problems, they grow bigger. And as soon as you share it with someone anywhere, you will be surprised. They have the same problems too, maybe a little different, but support is where you see that you are not alone. And you can really see it when people have to step up to the plate. You know what's going on all over the world with the fires, with the earthquakes, with tornadoes. And this is where people come in, and they come in and help other people, and they feel good. And everyone that's involved feels that they are not alone. Total strangers give you support. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it's not the right people are not your friends and family. Whoever gives you support, reach out. You will be so surprised. So I'm encouraging you to think of who have you reached out to lately? Where do you go for support? And even when you come here, and this is a live, personally, we don't know you, but guess what? We know you. And when you keep showing up, you're supportive. So that's what it is. Friends step up. Even if you're not alone, you're stepping up and you're supporting. And LinkedIn communities and Facebook communities and every community is really just that. What do you get out of it? It's really what you put into it. And it's all about support, supporting each other. Back to you.
Wow, that's one heck of a liftoff, and we sure got some momentum and a tailwind going for us today. And I believe Bev's so right because support's what you build goodwill towards.
Yes.
There's a saying, "Be known before you're needed," and be known before you need something. And the key to it is really relate to people who are in the moment with you. because friends and family have history, have a lot of background, but they're not always the people you want to share your story with. You don't want to bring them into your life, and that's a question unto itself, is what persona did you create that now is not holding up? And now you have to admit you can't afford that big house, or your business isn't doing as well as everybody thought. So there's a lot of ego, there's a lot of embarrassment at times,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of pride, right? That I can handle it, I can do it by myself, I'll figure it out. And that's cool if you can do it, but why not have a backup plan to
Yeah.
say, if I can't find the money, I've got a banker who's willing to lend me something. And it's really being okay with whatever it is when it is, and then dealing with it. Because when people get emotional about it, personal about it, start figuring how and what and all the conspiracies around it, versus, hey, we're in a hole, how do we start digging our way out, and who's got a shovel around here? I
Yeah.
think to Bev's point too, that's so vital, is the future of support is peer to peer. It's in real time with real people that are here for the same reasons. In the past, you had to go to the yellow pages. I need to find a lawyer, I need a dentist, right? Then you eventually went to reviews, and then you said, hey, this is 5 star, it probably has some uh, you know opportunity to be pretty good. But now you get to know people who know people, and
Yes.
that's the best support. Is Jim told me, call you, you're the guy or you're the gal, right? And all of a sudden that person thinks, well, Jim's sending my name out, great, I got
Mhm.
to show myself to this person so Jim sees that it was a good choice. And it's a win-win-win. Usually
Yeah.
people look at support as, I need something from you, you have to give something up. A
Yeah.
lot of times it's an exchange, but not a same exchange.
Yeah.
Like,
For
if someone's got a lot of money and you need $100, to them it's a tip, right? But to them, to you, is a service they provide to somebody. It makes them feel good, makes them feel like they might have made a difference in somebody's life. And
yeah.
you give people the opportunity to make a difference in your life when you ask for help. And you also qualify who are with you and not when you ask for help. So it's really the ask that has the power to
Yes.
determine the support either way, and how is it given,
Yes.
right? Sometimes people give you something and say, hey, if it's going to be like that, keep it, right?
Yeah.
I don't need it if it's like a hardship or it's like painful,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
I can find it somewhere else, or I can do without. You know
it's
what I mean?
hard. It's
You know?
hard enough to ask for support in the first place because it's you are down, and nobody likes to feel down. You're not feeling good in the first place. But like Petra said, she says, I agree with you on that. A support system has to always be in place. If you move to a town and you're totally new, the first thing you have to do is join a community. Find out what's there for you. Not that you need the support, but what you're doing is you're getting ideas from other people. Where's the school? What's the best supermarket? Little stuff. And that little stuff builds friends, and it's all from community. We can't live without support of others. We need people. And, although it's ideal to get off the grid and say, hey, I'm out for a while, but not completely. I don't, not completely. It's you could stop the internet for a while, you can shut down a bit, but you still have to come out of that cave. And that's the important thing, the community reaching out. And, thank you, Petra. And I see that Kelly is here. Good morning, ya all. Support is such an important word. And guess what, Kelly? Yes, thanks for being here to support us. We're all in a community together. And without people helping people, it doesn't work. And Donald, using the word support, it's so important because when I think of support, the the proof of supporting each other. I've worked in addiction for many years. I still do. And in all areas of addiction, but where it started was so simple. If anyone knows the history, I'm doing it like really, really quick. We know of Bill W. and Dr. Bob. Well, Bill W., there was no help for anyone that was addicted. You were in the street. And what he did was he met when he was down and out this guy, Dr. Bob, and they were supporting each other, two alcoholics. And they realized that just with their community alone, just the two of them, they were able to just talk and support each other. Because otherwise, you were just an animal. It didn't matter. This was 1935. And they built a support network. Everyone knows of AA. It's global. It's all around the world. And all it is people helping people. There are no professionals there. It's just they come, there's a place to meet, there's a place to support one another. Yes, they walk the 12 steps, they do whatever it takes, but that is what support really means. It's for everybody. And by the way, it's free. And after COVID, you can even find meetings online. So if anybody has a problem, please check it out. Okay. There's other ways also to work with addiction, but that's not what it's about. What it is to see that just support of another human being can give you the strength to move on and carry on. I think that is absolutely huge. And so, yeah, back to you, Donald.
Yeah, I mean, you're really on a hot streak today, Bev. I mean, you're covering a lot of ground, important ground, and valuable ground. And when you talk about support, it's a family that you choose to be with.
Yes.
And, when I see Bev, when I see Petra, when I see Kelly, when I see Harvey, that is a family here that supports each other, makes programs like this possible. And the key to support is connection, being connected to somebody the right way, the positive way where everybody brings something to the picnic, like we've talked about in the past. And just having someone saying, give it one more day is enough to give it that day. And that may be enough to get you another week before you worry about, can I do another day? And it's really just a ratcheting up together and knowing somebody is exactly where you are, dealing with exactly what you have, and relating their experiences, because it's the isolation, it's the insulation, there's nobody here for me, the loneliness. And you know what happens? That drives more addiction, because you say, if no one cares, what do I care? I've tried help, there's no help, so I'm helpless. So, hey, why not just dive back into where I can numb myself? And that's usually the reason. And the other thing is the joy of providing for others. What might not be something strong enough for you, if it was somebody you love, you'll do it. How many people give up a kidney for a family member or something, right? It's not something you just walk in and decide to do, but if it's like this or that, and that's where heroes show up. Some of the people who are taken for granted or minimalized show up in a moment of support for somebody or something, maybe because they've never had it or they know what it is to get it and haven't had enough of it. And I think it's a feeling, and that's where this program, I'm moving more towards importance of takeaway, not popularity. I'm kind of happy when it's not 30 hi Joes, hi Marys, how you doing, right? Because in some ways it's just a distraction, meet and greet, see and be seen, versus, hey, people have serious time, serious issues. Why not get serious solutions together? And that's where I think the world is going, and it's to the benefit of the people on the right side, is decentralized peer-to-peer. There's so many different groups. There's AA for AA. There's all kinds of other addiction groups. There's all kinds of religious and spiritual organizations that open their doors. that just being part of a service, being part of a celebration, even if it's not something you're directly tied in, you get out and then you get back in. So the key
Yes.
is leaving your place where you're not comfortable, going to a place that will make you comfortable and give you a safety valve to say, hey, when things get too heavy, I'm going to that meeting. You know, when I can't take it anymore, I'm going for a walk. And it's really just helping yourself. So yeah, let's cover these wonderful people, or me and Bev can get caught up and pretty soon and we're saying goodbye. Um, and we don't want to do that. So we already covered Renata. Thank you again. Every day, I got to give you credit. There is something to consistency. Carrie, we talked about. Petra's here. Kelly, we mentioned. Can never mention Kelly too much. Ashif, who is our Toronto quoter. Hi, all. We are meant to support. It's a true essence of living a good life. There is joy to giving and seeing it make a difference. Sarah says, I mean, people contribute to charities, you know, take their clothes in so somebody else can wear them. I
Mhm.
mean, there's always somebody else
Mhm.
besides you, right? And you got to think of that person because one day you'll be that person and you'll hope someone's thinking about you. Life is not well, I know you'll clarify that one. Donald actually has the seeds of support. He is planning support. Well, all of us together can do a little something to make a huge difference, and that's the difference. One person by themselves, you know, it's too much, too many times, and you wear yourself out, and you don't get enough. How can you give what you don't even have? Oops, life is not accumulation, it's about contribution, Stephen Covey. And it can be about both. You can win and win. You know, people look at support as if somebody loses, someone gets, versus, hey, create something, you know, and whether it's crowdfunding, you know, whether it's going out to people you don't even know in ways you never could have, you know, why not be on that side of the street? Isolation is the worst place, Petra says, and feeling that you must avoid and run to down. You're too good, Petra. She comes back with, it's good to be blessed, it's better to be a blessing. So true.
Oh, that's
uh,
so.
Petra's going at 10,000 miles per hour, and we pretty much caught up. But you know that's really important because you know individuals like Petra create the example for others because it's easier to reach out after someone's already shown they're reaching out. You know, crowd behavior motivates individual behavior. What's your thoughts, Bev?
I agree with everything you're saying, as well as all the comments, because they've been very, very supportive. So people are identifying with what we're talking about for sure. But what another thing, we're talking about humans, animals also support us. And time again, when we think of the animals that help humans, it's incredible. From seeing eye dogs who help the vision impaired to just your own little puppy or your cat. Um, these animals help us, particularly when we're alone. And I mean, as a joke, and I'm just making it a joke, my husband, I call him my support animal. Okay, because whenever I need anything, it's like Jerry, and he's there. Yes, we need humans, but when you think of your pets, how many times, I don't have an animal, but how many times, have I heard the pain of the loss of your just a pet, but it's not just a pet. It's someone that's there. It's someone. I've had a client who's had her dog walk her down the aisle. She had no one, but that dog, whose name was Bruce, like a human, and it was a human to her. It really truly was. So we can transfer all those support needs if the animal has got us through an awful lot of stuff. So don't just think of support if you're lonely, and I'm all alone. Yeah, perhaps it's nice you walk the dog. And who knows who you'll meet when you're walking the dog, but the dog is really for you. And support comes in so many ways. We talk about, if you go back to AA, also, it's not only the support of the community, they talk about the higher power, whichever way they or you believe in it or not. So it could be nature, it could be the God as you define it. Whatever it is, it's larger than you. It gives you hope that a person, a spirit, a something can get you through. And that's what I believe support is on all levels. If you're having trouble in your job, to find somebody that can support you there, or in every community, teamwork. We need friends, we need people, we need something to help us get through whatever we need. So, my questions to you and everybody out there: how do you find support? How do you find support? What's out there for you? Everything, by the way. The internet, wow. It's amazing. The internet, you can go to strangers with that. You can find help everywhere, online, anywhere you want. To your point, you used to have the yellow pages. Now, I don't think there's a whole generation that would say, "What's that?" you know Yellow pages, right? It was this book. Now we know we don't have to kill trees to do that, but it's all out there. And so, Donald, back to you. Who's
Yeah,
your support animal?
it ties it all together because again, it's connection. If it's an animal, not only are you walking it, you're talking it.
Yep,
Too many
yep.
people are sitting at home in their lazy boy, holding their little poodle or whatever dog or cat they have, and telling them about their day, or
Mhm.
asking the dog about their day, and all of a sudden they have a human connection. And I think people get too choosy on where they can get their support, right?
Yes.
You need to get your support where it's being provided. Too many people, well, what's their thought? What do they do? It's like, no, you're there. If you're hungry, you're there to eat,
Yeah.
and you're happy someone's there to serve you.
Yes.
If you're going to say until it's like this, then you're the one creating the limitation on yourself, and you really have to have your own support to get support. Support's there.
Yeah.
There is enough of everything if you're conscientious and thoughtful on how you go about finding it and taking advantage of it.
Hmm.
And the key is to find something that's better than where you are, that motivates you to do more than you would have to get it, so you can get out of where you're at. Sometimes the pain, like I say, of holding on is greater than the fear of letting go.
Oh, yes.
Right? And at that point, you say, I got nothing to lose. Nothing can be worse than where I'm at. So I'll just get on a bus and wherever it drops me off is new. And I think sometimes you got to forgive yourself. The past should not haunt the future. Too many times it's like because you got beat up, you don't feel like you're strong enough. But you're
Hmm.
never going to get stronger by not doing things. You're only going to get weaker because it just creates that pattern of
Yeah.
being uncomfortably comfortable. And here's the other beauty. Let's assume you believe support's there, believe support will help you. Well, isn't that a beautiful vision? If you're having a problem and someone says, well, I can help you run faster than you ever did. If you just do this, this, and this, and you believe them and it happens, look at the joy of prosperity or opportunity. And that makes you even stronger knowing where you came from, where you say, hey, 2 months ago, I was sitting evicted, didn't have anything. Now I got a job. Now I got an apartment. Now I got this. I'm building,
Yeah.
right? And you become an inspiration for the people around you. So uh, Petra says, I always grew up with my family saying that asking for support is begging. Uh,
Yes.
that's the way things were, but that's not the way things should have been, and they're definitely not the way things should be,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Go
My
ahead,
very
Beth.
I'd love to speak to that, Petra. That's so true what Donald said. There was a time where that was considered pride, and we don't talk about like our dirty laundry, so to speak. We keep it to ourselves, or we should stand firm and know how to do it ourselves. In today's world, we talk about everything. I mean, just take a look at those commercials out there, and it's like, oh my gosh, I think my mother would faint. Okay. It's like everything is out there. Okay. So, what we have to do is get over those feelings of really what's called foolish pride. Because if you're too proud, you're holding yourself back. And it's very, very hard, though, to ask for help, to your point, Petra. It really is, because you're letting your guard down and you're being vulnerable, and nobody likes to be vulnerable. But when we actually take that step, it's like, wow, just wow. And I know of a story where this particular woman was introverted and didn't really have any friends. Her husband went out, she took care of her children. She was very, very introverted and didn't have to do very much because she had a purpose, just taking care of her kids and, going to this, that, and whatever, until he left her. And then what happened is she had to get out there on her own. And the first thing she did, she was like really petrified. Where do I even start? Because her family had already grown up too, and now it's like I don't have little kids. So what she did was she went back to her old high school friends, which she found on LinkedIn, and realized that a lot of them also were suffering from like the turmoil of divorce and finding your roots, and from there just talking to other people and getting support without even asking for support. It's like, gee, I haven't spoken to you in X amount of years. What have you been doing? And it's like, oh my goodness, like this has happened to me. So all you're doing is expanding on your life. And your life is so much like other people's lives when you think about it. It's like there's no one, it's a little different, but there's no one that completely does not have a story like you, similar to you. And when you hear it, you become inspired by those stories. Because, I mean, let's face it, that just says we are not alone. And so I'd love to hear what people have to say about that, because it's hard. It's hard to step up and say, oh, I need help, um, unless it's really familiar, like with my support animal, Jerry. That's very easy to ask for help.
Well, I think, Bev, to your point, what's essential is conventional wisdom isn't conventional anymore.
Yeah, very good.
Right? So what used to be was in a whole different culture, a whole different environment. I remember having an uncle who, wonderful guy, worked in a scrap yard, and Christmas they gave him a $500 bonus. This is in the '50s, so $500 was like 5 grand a day.
Yeah.
He felt insulted and gave it back, and
Ah,
everybody in the family was like pulling their hair out. Like, where do you come up with someone gives you a $500 bonus and you say it's not what I should have gotten? I don't want it. And that was a sense of pride, but everybody thought, well, proud of what?
yes.
Proud of not accepting a gift with grace. And
Yeah,
it's the same thing as people are majoring in the minors because they're not clear what support they really need.
exactly.
They're asking for something for themselves, but not for what they need because someone owes me an apology. So someone is obligated to me. And when you get that entitled approach, support gets scared away, right? Because people say it's never good enough for you. No matter what you ask for, whatever I give you, it's never enough, or it was okay. And it's like, you lose the motivation to help people. Like, I just gave you $10. What'd you do with it?
Right.
Right? Why would I give you another 10? and that doesn't help the person asking for it. But what it really says is you got to get clarity first and get right with yourself. And that's where the support to yourself comes in. That's how well am I treating myself? How well am I eating? How well am I exercising? Who am I hanging around with? How much sleep do I get? Those are things you can control in a minute. You can decide what you eat for lunch or not, when you go to sleep, what you watch, and why not take control of things you can and then figure out where you're short. Another thing about it is now you got a story to tell. Well, I took it on myself to really button down. I've changed my diet, I've changed my exercise, I'm cleaning up my act. All I need is enough money to get me till my paycheck, right? And somebody will say, hey, you filled in all the gaps for me. Congratulations. I'm glad to participate.
Yeah.
But if someone says you haven't got out of bed yet, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you want me to do something, there's a responsibility and an accountability that comes from asking, from receiving, and not only that, building a relationship that you can go back to the bank again after you paid your loan, because it's a lot easier. Say, remember you lent me $100, I paid you back like I told you to. I need 200. I guarantee you'll get your money. Blah blah blah. And I think that's where you got to earn the support. So let's just cover some more of these wonderful people.
There's quite a lot here.
Petra says, I can't ask for myself. It just feels so selfish. Well, you ask a little bit, and then you can ask a lot more. Just start with baby steps. Ashif says, giving some love puts everything into perspective. I truly believe in extending humility to humanity and nature. It's karmic, for sure. Uh, Petra comes back with it. It's absolutely amazing, but I still can't find a way. Well, at least you know that, and you have something you can work from and to. And the thing is gamble once in a while. Hold your breath when you ask for something that normally you don't ask for, and you'd be surprised. Sometimes you create the nightmare that was never going to exist in reality, but will live in your head forever until you decide to actualize something. What's your thoughts, Bev? Petra's really into this today.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm to your point, Petra, and you, Donald. When you say, Petra, I can't ask for myself, it just feels so selfish. That's another thing. Yes, we're told you are selfish a million times. Okay, when you're young, don't ask for this. It's all not all about you. Blah 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 blah. The point is, you have to think of what you're asking for. Some people really feel it's very selfish just to have time out for themselves because they're giving things to other people. They're doing for this and that. And everybody needs something from us, right? But to do it for ourselves, like, I just need time. I just want to be able to take a break or not speak to anybody this afternoon or whatever it is, and you feel guilty when you just ask for that downtime, or no, I don't want to have to call you back on a Wednesday at noon because you happen to have that break and I don't. So being selfish is also taking care of yourself. It's your responsibility. It's not selfish. It's that if you are not taking care of yourself for whatever your needs are, other people will be affected. For instance, if you're tired and you're doing and doing, you're not going to be in a good mood. You're not going to feel refreshed. You're not going to feel like dealing with the things that you have to. So, to take time or to ask for something, other people are also very affected if you're not asking because you're struggling, and they could see it. They see it in your body language, they see it in the way you act with people. It's like, what's going on, but you're not saying it. So change that around a little bit. Think of the other people. You're doing it for them if you're doing it for yourself too. It's not really about you. It's not the old perception you're taking and taking and taking. And another thing I'd love to add, and that's also on support, too much support. That's the $10 thing. You know what you're talking about, Don?
Hmm.
I gave you $10 and now you're coming for more. Oh, okay, I'll give you another 10. And now you're coming for 20. Okay. That is not support. That's enabling. And when you're enabling someone, you're saying no, you're lecturing, but then you're giving it to them, right? So what are you teaching them? Just to come back for more. But if you are just helping them and saying, well, maybe you have problems with the budget here, this is it, okay, then perhaps they have to struggle that out. You have to know when to stop supporting too. You can't just constantly support, even if you want to be nice, because some people will just plain drain you or drain your wallet. So it's where those boundaries come in. You can support with reason. Okay. Oh, I see Harvey's here. Hey, never say late, Harvey. Never say late. You're here. And you're all the way from the sunny, not the sunny Isles, or you can call that, from England, right? Awesome.
Well, Harvey's definitely family and support. And, you know, what comes to mind when I think of support is the times you asked it and didn't get it. The people you asked it from that you assumed was a second nature thing that they refused.
Mhm.
And you had to sit there in front of them after that moment, and each of you looking at each other and trying to make the moment back to where it was, but you know it will never be. You know, it's like, hey, you know, there's certain people in your life you think when push comes to shove, I can depend on them.
Yeah.
And it's those people that just frustrate you when it doesn't happen or you have to explain. You know, I mentioned a lady who I was on the stage, gave a tremendous speech. She was a high level CEO of a company. And when she came down from the podium, I had a chance to talk to her. I said, well, that's amazing. How did that, how'd you ever reach this level of success? And she said, I'll tell you what, I was a teenage mom and didn't have anything, didn't finish high school, and had a couple kids. And I asked my husband for $20 to go to Kmart. And he said to me, what's it for? And somehow when he said that, everything just fractured in my head. And I said to myself, well, I got to tell somebody what I'm going to spend $20 at Kmart. I don't need their money. And she went back to school, got advanced degrees, got divorced, and this
Good.
start climbing the ladder. But it was that moment when she had to explain why that she decided I don't want to ever be in this position. You know, if you say to somebody, hey, I'm hungry, can you lend me $10? And they say, where are you going to eat and what are you going to eat? It's like, hey, it's done. You know, it's like whatever the value, what I thought would be from receiving it, I learned more from getting turned down.
Oh,
And
yes.
it is personal, right? Because just assume I didn't have a plan B. Just assume when I left here, I'm going to walk into something I didn't have to, that you could have saved me. And those are the things. And at that point, what you also have to say, maybe I shouldn't assume either way someone's with me or against me. Maybe I should talk to 10 people for support, not to one. You know, it's like having the ace in the hole. It's like, hey, Jim will help me out no matter what. Well, maybe Jim changed since yesterday. You know, you never know. Or maybe no one thinks about you as much as you think about yourself. But it is a reckoning. And I think that's the key is the sooner the better. If there's a mystery, get it figured out up front. Don't assume anything because then you only have yourself to blame for taking too long. You know how many times people say if you would have got to the doctor a week earlier, you wouldn't have this issue.
Oh,
Why'd you stay at home and try to nurse it or these home remedies? What were you thinking? And the person say, I don't know. I made a mistake. But
yeah.
the thing is, some mistakes are not reversible. you stay out in the cold too long, something may happen. So, communication, verbalizing, kind of probing doesn't hurt either. If I might need somebody like in 2 weeks, it'd be a good idea to get hold of them now and say, hey, how you doing? Just in case something may come up, want to know if you're available, and at least say, hey, thank you, because now I got 2 weeks to figure my next plan. So, and Harvey says, Beverly, interesting to hear you say taking a break and needing to say sorry. I've just got back from a true break with my wife and son, boating holiday, no internet, peace and enjoying time together. Taking a break is supporting. Yeah,
Sure.
the game
Sure.
was always between you and yourself, and you got to be right before you can be right for anybody else, or anybody can be right for you. And I don't, and right is a broad definition of whatever you believe is the right thing. But I think the other thing is being the positive person, because no
Mhm.
matter what the question, if you're more positive, you're more pleasant to be around,
Yes.
and maybe there's some reason, because you got to give somebody a reason to redeem you. What's your redemption? Why would somebody want to save you, help you, support you? Because you know what it does? It does create dependency if it's not initiated properly. And that's why people sign contracts, right? Here's what we talked about today. I'm going
Mhm.
to give you $50. You're going to buy school books and you're going to send me the receipt, right? Because in the past, I gave you $50 for school books and you went out and had a dinner on it. I mean, whatever the case, the person giving has an ability to ask something for the gift, right? It could be, on the way home, drop this package off at this person. You'll be helping me out. And it never hurts to say, and what am I going to get for this?
Right.
Why not be truly transactional and say, or if you were me, would you do this for you? How do you make me feel? I feel like a sucker sometimes. Is that how you want me to feel? So I think you teach a little and you build a little responsibility. And some people, they're going to give it to you no matter what, right? They love you too much to say, oh, you know, I shouldn't, but I've always spoiled you. But remember that not everybody's going to be me, right?
But should you be spoiled? That's a thing too. Not everybody's going to spoil you your whole life. And so sometimes when you were saying, Donald, there was a wake up call that he's giving me money. I'm never going to allow that to happen again. I have to earn my own way. That's a wake up call that I'm not being controlled. And I think Petra, who's been wonderful sending us all these support messages and is so involved, said exactly that pretty well. That her ex gave her $50 to feed two boys, et cetera, et cetera. And what it is now the support is not support, it becomes power and control. And nobody likes to be controlled, no one. But you shouldn't allow it. However,
Hmm.
if you get spoiled by that, it becomes a dance. I don't like it, but okay, he's like that. And we just complain and we're in our own kind of codependent misery. And what you have to do is say, no, it's possible. And what Petra also said, she went to get her degrees, she went to build herself up. And that's something that all of us should say, no, I don't want to be spoiled. If you're going to be, a sweetheart to people, wonderful. That's fine. You're giving with no expectation of getting back. It's like, this is what I'm giving, and I'm okay with that. However, the person taking should have also the responsibility of when is too much, and that's for the other person to call the boundary, okay? Because the person that you're spoiling is certainly not going to call those boundaries. They're okay with that, you know? And it's okay if you happen to be a grandpa and giving it to your kids, no problem, grandkids, whatever you want to do, one thing. But when it's a colleague and when it's an equal, then yes, it should be a give and take. It should be not, I'm always supporting you, because then you feel used. What does everybody say, Donald?
Yeah, I think you make some wonderful points. Let me see. We've got Petrus. We've got a chief who says, um, "Be the reason someone feels welcome, seen, heard, valued, loved, and supported. Simple and mostly free to give." You know, another thing is most people are together for reasons. When those reasons aren't there, the support isn't going to be there either.
Yeah.
Right? If you're working at a company and you're a great employee, they'll do a lot for you. The moment you leave, the new person just got your benefits and your situation. And you have to realize that a lot of people, even though it's a relationship, are purely transactional.
For
You
sure.
know, they are keeping score. They do take account. Hey, I lent you money 6 times last year, right? You paid me back twice. And how many times do we, the other thing, people forget their obligation.
Yeah.
Give me $20, I'll pay you back in a week. And a week goes by, no one says nothing. And you're like, hey, it's $20. They know it. I know it. But then every week it goes by that nobody mentions it is like the elephant in the room is like, and that's the thing. It's a trust issue. It's like, everybody always said if you're dealing with credit managers or receivables, if you can't pay me, tell me when you can. But when you tell me you can't, I got to depend on it, right? If you're $1,000 behind, and for whatever reason, I don't even care because what's the difference? When can you pay me,
Hmm.
right? And if someone says I can do this, whatever it is, pay you 50 here and 50 there, okay, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to take it to the VP of Finance, and I'm going to show it to them. And when they ask me how come this person is late, I'm going to say they called me up. They're good people. They had an issue. I decide, okay, I'll work a deal with them for this time. And this is what it is. Well, they're putting you on notice that they're through with it if it doesn't work out, right? Because I'm going to give my word that your word is given to me. And if you break your word with me, I'm not going to back you up anymore. And that tends to happen. So, you know, uh, it's really very important. Uh, and to your point, as far as support, Bev, I know you work with women over 50. How does that apply?
Okay, yes. What I was mentioning, and actually I wanted to put it in the chat, but it says private chat, so it came to Dawn. I put down, because I do not know how to put it in the chat for everybody. It's a support group, actually. It's on Facebook, and it's called Women Over 50 Rock. And when we were talking about support, it's not women over 50 that have ailments and just want to complain about it. It's women over 50 that get out there and support each other. And there's like over 5,000 people there, and it's wonderful. They're all communicating with one another, get up, say good morning, even if it's that, just motivation, from another person where I'm feeling really lousy today. And someone will come up and they'll say, hey, I'm from Kuwait, and, it's gorgeous today. And this other person is just saying, I have the shades down. So support comes in so many ways, but I'm encouraging anybody that's listening, if you're over 50 and Facebook is everywhere, as you know, just stop in. And yes, you're automatic. Just say, like, why are you here? You say, because I know Bev, you're in. Okay. And yeah, and support comes in so many ways, Donald, and it's all out there. And sometimes when we're listening also to motivating shows where people have, superseded what was expected of them, and you can identify with them, that support, although they don't even know they're giving it, is there because it's motivational support. You can say, if they can do it, just maybe I can too. So you can look for areas that you're missing in your life. And with those areas, you can be inspired by people and they don't even know that they're inspirational. They really don't. You know, it's there and they're supporting you. You can tune in, like I think it was Petra that was saying every day, or maybe it wasn't Petra, and I apologize if it wasn't. Every day they tune into you, you know, because they're getting something. It's support, it's supportive. And yeah, I think this is why this community and all communities are so great.
Well, and to the earlier point, what you could do is go to the post itself after a post and put it in the comments so everybody can see it. So if you want to put a link, so because you yeah, actually, I think you can type a message in the chat that would go to everybody. But if you can't, because I know you can't put links in there, you can always go to the post where the video will be posted, and then everybody who goes to comments can check it out and hit the link. And that's what
Sure.
we're trying to do now with the show, is open up speakers to more than just their thoughts on the word, but how they support and can support people, and just being aware of what's available.
Hmm.
Because, you know, Bev distinguishes herself just like Kelly and Harvey and
Hmm.
just everybody in being able to know, like, and trust them. The question is, how do you find support where it's more than a sample here, a piece of this there, where it really is personalized? You know, like now what I'm creating is a LinkedIn Live opportunity, but also a success program that's customized to individuals or groups who want that extra focus. You know, and I think that's part of support. Do you want a little bit every week, or just want to get what you need and get ready to go on to the next step? And time becomes an issue in every situation of dependency. There should be a sense of urgency. If people are drowning in whatever they're drowning in, the sooner they get to dryness, right? And to a road to recovery, because I'd rather cut the time frame, get to where you're going. But not only that, it's not a given that you're going to get there on your own anyways. Some things require support. You know, if
Hmm.
you got a 500-pound load, it doesn't matter how motivated you are, you're only so strong and
Yes.
capable. And
Yes.
why not accept that? And knowing there's a person who will accept you for accepting them and
Yes.
making it happen. And I'd rather lose doing something, trying something, learning something than time out and just watch the curtains fall on oneself. And that's really, you know, a tough thing to appreciate if you've come back, if you've seen other people come back, if you know it's possible. And, you know, it's always like, why? You hear that all the time. If they would have just called me before they did that dumb thing, you know, if I would have just known they just needed $500 and it would have saved their house, and now I can't help them anymore. And now people feel bad for you of not giving them the chance to save you from yourself, maybe. And you know, at least that gives people an opportunity. I mean, even if it's a guilt trip, hey, coming to you. I know you're probably not going to help me, but this is exactly what's going to happen to me if you don't. And people say, well, you sure laid it on me. And it's like, well, I had to give you a heads up. And
Yes.
naturally, the person in need and trouble is usually the person that's always been in need or trouble. So it's not like it's a surprise. It's almost like, what is it now? You know? And
Yep.
at the same time, it is about responsibility and accountability. If someone comes to me and say, I really screwed up, you don't have to tell me. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Then you say, okay, well, at least we covered that. You know, at least you took responsibility. Hopefully you'll learn. You won't do it again. Blah, 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 blah. But support can also come from adding to the positive. You know, we've been talking a lot about saving someone from drowning or being overwhelmed. What about a person who is doing great, but now wants to study abroad, right? And needs support? What about a business that's just knocking it out of the park and needs to expand? Well, they need support, and how do you get support when you're doing something positive? And it seems like everything we're talking about is verbalizing what it is you need, how it is you can receive it. And the other thing is, what's the premium to the person giving it? Why are they so lucky to have been picked to support you in this venture, right? And it's something you have to do to make them feel good about doing it because they're going to have to talk to whoever it else they talk to. Well, why'd you give them another $1,000? What's wrong with you? Are you a sucker? And someone will say, hey, listen, I know what you're going to say. I got to clear it up before you even get there, right?
Exactly.
This is what's happened. He's changed his ways. He's now got a job. He's doing this. He deserves it, right? That's really what you want to say is he or she really deserves it. They had a hard go, between what they had to deal with and everything else. They didn't get a good start, and this could make the difference. And if people say if it really can make the difference, let's do it. But if it's water, if it's just throwing away good money after bad, and not only that, he's going to come back to you and tell you about more stuff. Is this what you need in your life? And that's the thing. What do you need in your life? What does someone else need from you in your life? And how many wins have you had? Because if you've lived long enough, there's been people you trusted that came through for you. There's people you trusted that were totally a disappointment to you. And some of that was crushing because a lot of it was spiteful and unnecessary. It wasn't just part of the game, it was the game. But then it makes you think, well, where was I falling asleep here? Why wasn't I paying attention? And that's the other key element to support is due diligence. Have you researched something? Have you shared the documentation with me?
Yeah.
You
And
know,
another thing, if I can just interject, and
sure.
Harvey picked up on it, and that support is not always verbal. Like sometimes what Harvey just said is a big part of support is listening. And, listening, being there when people need you. And like a funeral when you think about it. And there's nothing really to say. And if you want to speak, fine, but just your presence is enough if something goes bad, just your presence.
Hmm.
And that's what we're talking about also in a support group or a support community. If you say, well, I have nothing to say, and I've had people very often say, well, I don't know what to say, to talk to you, Bev. And before you know it, wow, there's open the floodgates because you don't have to say anything. But we know when people are troubled, or we know, you show it in your face as we were talking about it. And if just one other human being is there for another, that can be just enough when you're showing someone support for them to feel comfortable to be able to open up. And that is so important. And another thing also, Donald, I'm going to put in the chat after the show is over. There's a link to my site, reinventimpossible.com, and I always offer a free 15-minute conversation. And sometimes just that boost gets you moving on. That's it. And it's not about support only. It's about just knowing, because anybody can listen. But what it is just knowing that it's not only supportive. What it is, yeah, and maybe if you did this, and that little boost is enough to say, hey, yeah, they know what you're talking about. And that's what that funeral is. I'm coming back right back to that. These people know what suffering is. They have pain. It's not the pain that I have, but they're there to support me. So we should welcome others in our lives. They're there to support us, and we support back. And that's community. Thank you, Harvey, for that, because listening is a key to support for all of us. Hey, that's what therapists do, right? Okay.
Well, Yeah,
A
and
little more than that, but that's what people think I do. But
well, I think too when you look at support, you can look at the extent of support, the style and fashion of support you may need. Uh, you can work out support. You don't have to come in with the demand already in hand. You can just come in with the situation, right? Here, I got to explain, Uncle Bob. I just got involved with this. I never experienced it. Here's all my stuff they gave me. I don't know what to make of this. You're a smart guy. Can you help me out here? And that way there's some ownership that a person can have before they have to make a decision. If you say I need $100, I ain't got time to tell you, just give me the 100. Well, that's fast and loose, and maybe it'll slip by because it's only 100 and not 100,000. But at the same time, it could be like, hey, why don't you give me a chance to take a look at it? Maybe it's not that bad. How many people say we got to settle this tomorrow? It's like, why? Have you talked to a lawyer yet? Do you understand what it is? What are you so quick to jump? And I think patience has a lot to do with it. Is you think it's more urgent than it is, more serious than it is. And as someone who says, hey, I've been through this 10 times, here's exactly how it's going to work out. It's not easy, but it's not the end of the world. You're getting yourself upset. So it's up to the person providing the support to not frame it in this is the end of the world. This is an emergency. It's all or nothing. Because why would you ever want to be in that situation? And why would you put me in to be the only person who could save you? So why not back off a little bit? And, I always found that when you get somebody in a better mood, the conversation brightens, gets more positive, gets more, I can do something. Versus you come there like a limp noodle and you can't do anything and you're helpless and you're weak. And just, it's a bad picture for everybody. At least get a little cleaned up and be a little friendly. But that takes maturation. And that's the difference between the people who are successful in winning support, in making people feel good about giving them support. And when you get turned down, what did you do that made someone want to turn you down versus turn you on? And I think those are questions. And really, the support is thinking things through the best you can, getting around people who can take it to another level with you. And then you'll have options in your own mind. How many people had a reserve that they thought they would always need and they never touched, but they always knew it was there if they needed it? So it gave them the confidence to spend their last dollar knowing there was a refill coming up if they needed it. And then at the same time is one step at a time. You don't eat an elephant in one bite. It's the same thing. You take a problem and you start getting rid of the low hanging fruit, the easy stuff. And what do we got left here? And then after a while, because I did a lot of turnarounds and you need a lot of support, everything turns in your direction. It's all uphill. And then once you get over the top, it's the easiest thing. And most people never get to that point. They struggle and it gets worse. And then they figure even nothing was better than this, which it isn't, but that's where they quit. So with that said, we're a little bit over time. Beverly, this has been great. I think we got a great word, a great audience. And hopefully people will continue to listen to it, share it. And with that said, Bev, last words, and we'll get people underway.
I'm just saying thank you so much because everyone there was supporting us. And yeah, I'm going to put links in so I could support you right back. And yeah, it was a terrific program. Lots of comments, and everybody is so supportive. And get out there and keep supporting other people. It all comes back to you. It's wonderful. And I thank you for giving us all, Dawn, such a wonderful support group every day at 11.
Well,
Thanks, Dawn. I'll
thank
be
you,
back.
Bev. You're the best. And, I just know how many wonderful takeaways people have to choose from today, encouragement, opportunities for future interaction with you. So take this as an opportunity to build on. And with that said, tomorrow we've got Harvey and a new lady, Tabitha, is going to be with us. It should be a great show. So have a wonderful day and go out and give support and also go out and seek support. It works both ways.